Bart Brooks, head coach at Belmont, joins us. Coach, good to see you from Nashville.
Great to see you, Bob.
Hey, I asked your colleague Casey Alexander earlier, did you get a ticket to the presidential debate?
You know what? I would think I was on the short list, but I got a little beach time in Florida during the chaos of that, and I tell you what, I'm amazed until you actually live it and see what happens on this campus the months leading up to that debate. I can't express enough how amazing it was, the feat that they pulled this off during the pandemic, and it went as great and as smoothly as it went.
It's incredible to just, as viewers, we just pick it up a day or so out, right? And we know the preparations are going on. Got a great story. Did you have the FBI come visit you? Did they bring the sniffing dogs to the building? Give me a story.
I was going to say, luckily everything checked out. If they swept the office, nothing raised the alarm flags. But yeah, it was pretty humbling to hear all of the stuff that all of the people had to go through, and our facilities people here. I think they had a well-earned couple of days off after that event went well.
Speaking of facilities, there's one under construction. Give us an update on that.
Man, it is unbelievable how quickly that thing has gone up. Our brand new practice facility, for men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and our tennis teams, and it's really a tribute to Dr. Fisher and all that he's done to support our programs and in Belmont University's athletics. And the facility is going to be something that I think ultimately our players have earned. All the players in the past who haven't got or won't get a chance to play and practice in that facility, they really built it with what they have done with this program and given us championship expectations and putting us in this place to now be able to reap the benefits of what they've done. So really a tribute to Dr. Fisher and then also the players from the past in our program.
So that's on the election cycle. It'll be done in 4 years. So maybe you can have the media back for another debate, and you can house the media in that new facility and kick you and Coach Alexander out.
I tell you what, I'm glad they're only once every 4 years. That's for sure.
Yeah, spoken from a man that went to Florida, no doubt.
Yeah,
let's talk about this. So let's talk a little bit about leaving Evansville, having lost in the semis, an opportunity to perhaps go to postseason, and then really the pandemic, the impact of it really became clear once we all returned from Evansville last season. Kind of take us through those days from you, and then in your personal life as well, as to how that's affected you.
Yeah, I mean that's it's almost surreal to think back to. I still remember being in the breakfast room the day before the day I think we played SEMO, and my wife, my beautiful wife, mentioned something about this coronavirus, and I actually laughed at her, said, it's a conspiracy thing. It's not real. And sure enough, a week later, it became very real for all of us. And of course, as a coach at that time, I had my head in the sand about probably everything that happened outside of Belmont women's basketball. And licking our wounds from getting beat by a really good SEMO team who played a great game. I still, I think it might have been the Lakers. I think they might have swapped out with the Lakers they played unbelievably well. And still remembering being in the curb here in our practices, awaiting, hopeful that we're going to make a postseason tournament. And one day we're practicing, and the next day I'm telling our team that they've got to go home, and not really understanding what that meant, thinking that they'd have to go home for a couple weeks or maybe a month, and not really knowing what was in store for us. And then as it became more clear that this was going to be a longer road back to being together than we all realized, and having virtual banquets to honor last year's seniors who had incredible careers for us, and then trying to put together a new group of freshmen. We've got 5 freshmen on our roster this year, and trying to acclimate them into a group of upperclassmen, and doing that on a Zoom. And when, everything is, they're at home and they've got siblings and they've got family, and everyone's got a different situation when it comes to where they are at home and how they're able to connect to a Zoom meeting. And it was a summer of new and different and challenges, and really given us all, I think, a chance to be thankful for what we had, and really appreciative for any chance we do get to play once we get back, that we were going to appreciate it and be grateful for the opportunity to be together and to get to play this game that we love, because it was really a stressful, challenging time during the summer. And I can't imagine the stresses and the challenges that it go on above the university leadership level, making these tough decisions, and really grateful for the support and the leadership that we've had through it all.
One of the things that stuck in my mind is I bumped into you, I believe the day after the SEMO loss. You were taking your children on a Starbucks run there in Evansville. You have young children.
Yep.
How did they fare through all of this? What has kind of been your approach with working with them through something none of us have ever seen?
I tell you what, it's been really interesting. It's been probably the hardest part has been keeping them away from people, just because I think they're so used to going to the playground and playing with anyone and everyone, and no one's really a stranger. And then as the pandemic hit, we're taking walks through our neighborhood, trying to remind them that they shouldn't go too close to other people, because other people, and trying to explain to them why and what a virus is. And I mean, having some conversations with little guys that you wouldn't ever really think you'd have to have. And but really, it's amazing how resilient kids are and how they just take what comes to them, and every day is a good day for them. And as long as you've got that perspective, I think as a parent and even as a coach, I think that's helped me be a better coach, is seeing my own kids deal with the adversity and not even think twice about it, just loving life every day. We're having a sleepover on a Friday night in our bonus room, and that's the best thing in the world for those guys. So, man, life really isn't that bad. There's a lot of things we can be thankful for. So
it's a great point. You got some younger, you touched on it briefly, 18-year-old freshmen, 5 of which you mentioned, coming from the likes of nearby here in Nashville all the way to Ohio and some points in between. Kind of introduce us a little bit to that freshman class.
Man, I love the talent that we're bringing in, and the quality of young person. They're going to fit beautifully with what we do here at Belmont and who we are and how we represent this university. Starting locally, we've got Blair Schoenwald, the lefty guard, our lone lefty. We finally got a lefty on the roster. So everything's backwards for Blair, but we've got she's a really, really smart guard who's able to make shots and just really knows how to play, from Brentwood Academy here in Nashville. And then we've got Tootie Jones. We're going to go south to Troy, Alabama, and Tootie Jones is a really competitive player, one of the most competitive players I think I've ever coached, and I've only coached her for about a month and a half here. And she just has really impressed me with how she competes every day. Destiny Wells, point guard from just outside of Memphis, Houston High School, Germantown, Tennessee. She's a dynamic playmaking guard, and I think is going to be a little bit different than any of our guards that we've had here in the past, and going to give us an opportunity to be a little bit more versatile offensively. And then we're going to go north to Ohio, and we've got Madison Bartley, just outside of Dayton, really, really dynamic big guy. And she runs the floor. She's aggressive, has a great motor, and I think she's got a chance to be special. And then we've also got north of us, Whitney Hay from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And we really put together a really good team. They all fit beautifully together. Whitney Hay is an incredible scorer, and she's got size and a really good instinct to play offensively. And
then there's Jamilyn Lynn. So talk about her, a word or two there.
Yeah, I tell you what, Jamilyn has been a stalwart for us here as our point guard, and she's just elevated her level of leadership and steadiness, of really running the show. And we asked her to be a little bit better at everything coming back this season. And early indications are she's taken that to heart, and she's worked really hard to put herself in position to be one of our leaders on both ends of the floor this year.
So I've Getting kind of near the end of speaking with coaches, but the question I must always ask, your thoughts on a 20-game conference schedule, and what have you put together preseason?
Yeah, it's I think this is going to be the most competitive conference season we've ever had, and top to bottom. And I look at the teams. It was really hard to pick, the order rankings of this year's OVC, and really the reason for that is I don't know that there's a lot of difference between teams 3, 4 through 10 and 12, and that's a credit to the coaches in this league. They've done a great job of recruiting, getting talent, and really developing that talent. I think really what's made this league get better is that we've got older players who have played, 2, 3, now into their fourth seasons, and they've got a lot of experience. But the coaches have done a great job of helping them get better. And so that's going to be, those 20 games are going to be harder than any other 20 games that I've had to coach against this league so far. And we've also got a really good opening to our season. We are on the road at Kentucky. We go down the road at Middle Tennessee, and both of those teams I think are good. Kentucky I think is ranked. I think they're in the top 10 in the country, and Middle Tennessee I think is talented enough to be, and probably will be by the end of the season. Then we're on the road at Auburn. We get to play Tennessee State a couple of times in December because of the flex games, and then we're working on one more. Scheduling has been a whirlwind, Bob. I tell you what, it was about a month crash course of how to schedule, reschedule, and I had to use pencil a lot with putting this thing together. But we feel really good about the challenge that awaits us. We're gonna be tested early and often, and I think that's something that our players are going to be ready for, and we're going to be excited about.
Do you value the pre-conference season more this year, and being able to evaluate your talent 5-on-5 than perhaps years in the past?
Oh, I tell you what, you're right on the money there. I mean, the first time we're going to get to play against someone else, we usually have a male practice player team that comes in, and we scrimmage against often to get ready for that first game. And this year with the restrictions and the pandemic, where the first time we're going to play against anyone else besides ourselves is November 29th at Kentucky. So we're going to find out quickly, what the things that we need to fix and need to work on. And it is going to be a little bit of a crash course and figuring things out. And it's going to probably take a little bit longer than normal in the preseason to figure out rotations and lineups and how we're going to play best together. But it is what it is for everyone. And I tell you what, we're just going to be excited if we get to go play whoever it is, wherever it is. We're just excited about it.
Bart, it's been a pleasure visiting with you. All the best to you in Belmont this season, and for sure, at some point in time, wherever, destination unknown, we'll hook up together. Great to see you.
Always good to see you, Bob. Appreciate you. Thank you.